So in today's episode, we are going to carry on with our coin. Now, we're not going to finish it in today's episode, but we will get a step further in doing that. I think we'll get most of the way except for the part where we have to collect it. So we'll go and finish off instantiating it after we've broken the crate down, and then when we've done that, well, at the same time as we instantiate them, we actually want them to be like a burst coming out the crate. So we're going to do that in the upwards direction, and we also want to give it kind of like a 20-degree angle on each left and right, starting from the top, so that it looks like it's like coming up, like bursting out and then falling back down to the floor. So let's jump into that and see if we can get that done. So this is what we have so far. In the previous episode, I don't even know if we try to get this done, but all we have now is when you go and break the box, you collect them, but because you're collecting them as soon as they get instantiated, you can't really see them. I think that's what's happening. So let's make a step forward. So in today's episode, we are going to start by, what are we going to start by doing? Okay, so let's go to our crate class here, and this is where we are instantiating them. So I'm going to change this to about 10 so that we can actually see this happening, and then we need to do some work in this class. So I'm going to get rid of this, and the first thing that we need to do is we need to do a bunch of things actually. And the first thing that is to figure out what the center of the crate is, because that's where we want them to start, all of them, and then from that center, which is going to be over here somewhere. From here, we want them to move upwards in the upwards left or right direction, if that makes sense. So we're going to have like an angle, like a V shape over here, and then they're going to spawn at the center and then move within that V shape in random directions, so that it looks like a burst. And then eventually, once they've reached their maximum height, they will fall down and then hopefully land on the floor. And then the object is to then allow the player to go and collect them. But let's start with getting the center of our crate. So this is going to be a vector 3. So vector 3 center, we'll just call it center. Center is going to be equal to the transform dot position. So that's going to get our position of our crate. The next thing we need to do, let's comment this out so that we know what we're doing. So center of crate. Get center of crate. Okay, the next thing we want to do after that is to instantiate the coin. So here we're going to spawn a coin, and so far we'll start with 10 and see how that is. It might be a bit too much, but I just want to actually see this animation kind of thing happen. So what we want to do is we want to create a game object, and this is going to be our coin, and then we are going to say this is going to be equal to instantiate, and then we'll open up a bracket, and then here we need to pass in our coin prefab, which in our previous episode we created a second coin prefab, but we didn't actually drag it into our crate object, which is somewhere over here. Scene object. Actually, we can do it on our crate prefabs so that we can use it if we need to add another crate into the scene. So let's go and drag in this over there just so that we're using the correct coin. So now the coin is not perfect. We might have to change a few things, but let's test this out and see as we go along. So instantiate the coin prefab, and this is going to then we're going to have to pass in our center for the crate. So this is where we want to instantiate them. And then after that, we want to add a, quaternion dot identity. So I believe that's not going to add any rotation into it. Okay, so that's done. Now let's just go press play and let's just see what this happens. Let's make sure we're not really getting any errors here. So if we go and break the box, we probably won't. Okay, so we saw them quite quickly, and then we went and collected them. So also this, I think hopefully when we're done this, it should fix our count, our coin count there, because we did not pick up 100, we only picked up 10. So the next thing we want to do is we need to go and disable, just for now, because we actually want to see this happening and we don't want to collect them as soon as we've broken the crate. Let's go and disable the collider on it. Now I'm thinking we could probably do this let's do this in on the coin itself, just so that we can see it. So let's go and disable that. Yeah, so we'll say, actually no, we'll do it in the code. So let's go say, what's it going to be? It's going to be on the coin. So get the coin dot get component. This is going to be the, what is it? Is it a circle collider 2D? And then we are going to say dot enabled, and that's going to be equal to false. And then after that, we want to, let's just write here, disable coin collider. Okay, then after that, what we want to do is we want to go and tell it which direction we need it to move in. So we're going to add in a burst in the upwards direction. So let's go and say vector 2, what's this going to be called? This is going to be called up. Actually, no, let's say, why am I commenting this out? This needs to be a vector 2. This will be the coin direction, and that's going to be, it's going to be, how do we do this? Vector, I think it's vector, yeah, vector 2 dot up, like that. So that's pretty much it. That's going to tell us which direction we want. So this is going to be, let's just say move coin up. I don't know. You can add something more meaningful, like direction of coin movement. Well, we should probably put that in there. Let's put that in there. Direction of coin movement. And then the next thing we need to do is we need to go and apply the force to the coin. So let's say apply force to coin. Now, to do this, we need to get the rigid body on the coin, which I do believe it should have. Let's just double check. So a coin, yes, it does have a rigid body, so that's fine. So here we can go and say, actually, I'm just going to make this a lot easier and say rigid body 2D, and then here we can just say rigid body. Okay, and then we can go and use that directly. Because we've done that, we need to drag it in. So on our prefab, make sure you do this on the prefab. So where is our coin? Our coin, this needs to be, what? Crate. Oh, okay, never mind. This is not going to work. So because that's on our crate, and I'm thinking we're working on our coin. So we need to get it off of our coin. So here we can go and say, let's just say, what is it called? Rigid body 2D. Rigid body is going to be equal to coin dot get component rigid body 2D, just like that. So that's going to get our rigid body, and then after that we need to apply some force. So now we can go and say rigid body dot add force, and this is going to add the force in the direction. So this is only going to be in the upwards direction. We'll figure out the angle in a little bit. Let's just make sure that this actually works. So this is going to be add force, open brackets, and then it's going to be the force, which is then going to be the coin direction, times, we're going to add a little force, so we're going to say probably about 5F, and then we want this force mode to be impulse. So we can end that off, and then let's go test it out. We might have to add a delay into it later so that we can enable the collider at some point so that we can, okay, so you can see that we do have coins. Let's pause that and see how many do we get. Okay, so we had 1, 2, how many is that? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Okay, so that's 10 coins. So we do have 10 coins, but you only saw one, and that's because they're all on top of each other in the same position. So now we need to go and do the exact same thing, but we need to get rid of this direction and now add in that angle, because we don't want it to only go up and then straight down. We want it to come up in multiple different angles, and then from there fall down and then collide with the bottom, and then the player, your character, can go and collect them. So let's give that a try. So the first thing to do is to get rid of this coin direction. So actually we can leave that there. Let's just change the direction. So we'll say actually let's go put that back and let's do it on top. So here it's going to be a float angle, and this is going to be, it has to be random. So we're going to have to get a random number between probably a negative and a positive of the same value. So this will have to be a random dot range, and then we'll add it. Let's say about we want it to be like a from the center, probably about a 40-degree angle. So we're going to say 20 on each side. So -20 and 20 like that. And then for our direction, we can go and get rid of that and then say this now needs to be quaternion dot Euler, and then this has to be 0 on the x. Where's our comment? 0 on the y, and then on the z it needs to be the angle that we've just added. So angle, let's try this angle, and then after that we need to times this by our vector 2 dot up, because we still want it to go in the upwards direction, like in the main direction. So from the main direction, I don't know if you can see this, but say actually let's go and demonstrate it on the crate itself. So imagine we draw a line in the middle over here. So if we move this over here, so imagine this pillar here is the upwards direction. So from the center where the circle is, we are now going to instantiate a coin at this point and then move it in the upwards direction, anywhere from straight up 20 degrees on the right, and the same thing 20 degrees on the left. So that will give us the 40-degree angle. So we'll save that. Actually, we need to save our code rather, which we have done. So let's go save that and see if we get that angle. Fingers crossed we do, because that will then solve our burst issue. So here's our player. Now we can move to our box and break it. So you can see that we now get a burst of coins coming out, but our collider is not working. So we need to go and actually, I'm just going to get rid of this because we don't really need that yet. Let's just go and see what happens when we get rid of that, because the idea with that was to instantiate the coins into the scene and then not allow the player to collect them. But that doesn't really make sense, because even if they are burst into the scene through the player, the player should automatically collect them. So let's delete this. Okay, so you can see that that doesn't really work. So we need to add in that angle, that delay. So we'll keep that there for now, and then what we can do is we can create another function called, what's it going to be called? It's going to be called, what do you want to call it? So we need to go and enable the collider. So let's go and say, because we want a delay, let's go and make this an enumerator, and then this is going to be a enable coin collider. So we are going to then go and say yield return new wait 4 seconds, and then let's give it 1 second. And then we have to enable the collider. So let's copy this and paste this here. Now we're not going to have our coin, we're not going to have access to our coin, so we need to pass it in as a parameter. So this is going to be a game object coin. So I believe we can just do that. And then over here, once we've done all of that, add the instantiated it and then add the force as well, we can go and start a coroutine. That's not how you spell start. Start coroutine, and then this is going to be enable coin collider with our coin as a parameter. So let's test that out and see. Does that work? let's press play, and then hopefully we now can see this works. So we're not going to be able to. Okay, so you can see we can't collide with them yet, so we'll fix that later. But we do have a burst of coins, which is exactly what we want. So for our coin, let's go to our coin. No, not that one. Let's go to our, this one. Let's go and disable is trigger, because we want them to collide with the ground, which means they're also going to collide with our player. So let's go and do that. So nope, why didn't that work? Did I do it the right one? Coin crate is trigger, yes. This needs to be true. We didn't set that. We didn't change that. So let's go test that out. Hopefully they will now collide with the ground, and we will be able to collect them. Well, we're not going to be able to collect them just yet, but you should see that they collide with the ground now. But we have a little bit of an error there. So they are when they collide with something, they are instantly adding to our coin count, which is not what we want. So let's go and see what's happening. So where do we collect a coin? So that should be on the coin class, I guess. So on trigger, so you see, as soon as they trigger something, they are being collected, if that makes sense. So we need to go and add in a check. So let's just say if the collision.compare tag, and then we'll give it the global dot player tag. So that's pretty much it. That should allow us to only collect the coins if the player goes through them. So now, I don't think it's going to work just yet, but you should see now that they don't disappear when they hit the ground. So you can see there they are, but now the problem with this is we need to fix this, because I don't really want you to be able to walk on top of them. I want them to act the same way as these ones, where you don't really see the delay when collecting them. So we need to go and figure out how to do that, because there is a problem. When we go and set this to be is triggered, it destroys everything. So if we destroy this, you can see that they no longer collide with our ground, which is not what we want. So we'll disable that, and then you know what I might do? I might just copy this. Actually, no, let's just do this. Let's go and say on collision enter 2D, and then we'll just copy all of this, paste this in here, and hopefully collision dot game object dot compare tag. So we might need to change that. So let's save that. Let's give that a test, and then hopefully that now works. Because I don't see why that shouldn't work, if I'm honest. Because now that they're not ticked as triggers, we should be able to collide with them. So let's do that. They do collide. Now we can collide with all of them, which is great, but we still have that little bit of a delay, which is not what we want. But it's a step closer. So let's just test this out. So I'm going to change this to a random number. So let's go back to our crate, change this to, we'll put this back to how it was. So the max is 8. So actually, let's go make it 10. Then the minimum is 3. Actually, we'll make the minimum 0. Because you can break crate and nothing be in it, because that's kind of cool. It's also quite disappointing at the same time. And let's also go and set this to be 0 random. So the random one is going to be between. Actually, we'll leave it like that. Let's leave it like that and see if this works. So we'll save that, and then what else do we need to do? Let's go and add in another crate. So first of all, let's go and put our player back to the start, just somewhere over here, and then I'm just going to paste another crate over here, right over here. So we are missing this. So let's put another crate. So I'm just going to drag on in here, and this one needs to be a background over there. So let's bring this down here. Let's give this a test. So now we should be able to break both of these crates, assuming they are strength of 0. Okay, so this one has a strength of 0, but I'm just going to change this because we want to test it. Add that as a strength of 2, and then where's the other one we just put in? Grid player point. Okay, clearly it's not there. So let's just play the scene and we'll see what happens. So let's collect these. Now let's do that. So we can collect all of these. Our coin count is working. Now let's go to the next one, and oh, here it is. So this one has a strength of 4. Okay, so that's fine. Let's break this one. Okay, so that one only has 5, so we should have 18 coins now. So that's fine. That's fixed pretty much everything that we were working on. Now the only thing that's left to figure out in the game is to, let's have a look, is to first of all fix that delay when we collide with something, or collide with the coins in this case, and then also do our health bar. So we've only got those 2 things left to do for this game, which we hopefully will finish in tomorrow's episode, and then we'll call this game there, and then hopefully start working on our previous games like the coin maze, not the coin maze, the cube maze, and the cube sliding, or yeah, sliding game. But yeah, that's going to be it for today's video. So thanks for watching. I'll see you next episode tomorrow. Bye.